this is Elizabeth Austin, and I chose to do my research over public playgrounds as an information ground. So an information ground is an environment temporarily created by the behavior of people who have come together to perform a given task, but from which emerges a social atmosphere that fosters the spontaneous and serendipitous sharing of information. This concept was developed by Karen Pettigrew, who's now Karen Fisher, when she was studying the information behavior of elderly patients, nurses, and attendees at a community foot clinic. She observed that information was shared freely between all participants, both purposefully and serendipitously. So this study led her to develop the concept of the information ground. Her framework is comprised of 7 propositions that serve as a basis of what constitutes an information ground. So basically, an information ground is just some place. It can be any place that people come together and there's social interaction and information sharing happens. So now that we know what an information ground is, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on playgrounds. So the first outdoor gymnasium in America was in 1821, and Americans borrowed this idea from Germans. By 1886, sandboxes were added to these outdoor gymnasiums, which had like gym equipment, like bars and vaults and stuff like that. So we added sandboxes, and we got that idea from Germany also. In 1906, the Playground Association of America was formed, and Theodore Roosevelt was the president of that. In 1924, there were 5,006 playgrounds in America. During the World Wars, more resources were devoted to that, and playground development kind of lulled. By the 1970s and 80s, safety guidelines and playground standards were coming around. And now, from the late 1900s to the present, playgrounds have equipment, nature elements, building stations, and now we even have electronic or interactive playgrounds. So you can see on the left this terrifying early 1900s playground apparatus. And on the right, this is what some of the modern interactive playgrounds look like that have the electronic components to play with. So, who visits the playground and why do they visit? Parents, grandparents, and caretakers may take their children to the playground and let them play or play with them. Play, according to Dr. Joe Frost, who is known as the father of play advocacy, is one of the most important aspects of child development, and it promotes cognitive development, social development, physical fitness and health, learning, and is very therapeutic. And what makes the playground an information ground? This is a really poignant quote that I found, written by Miriam Peskowitz, who is a scholar, and she wrote an article about the playground, and she says, "At the playground, day after day, we talk about almost everything. Local preschools and morning out programs, what's happening in the world and the city, our past, our families, our travels, restaurants, breastfeeding, weaning, potty training, how we put our kids to bed at night, and how little sleep we had the night before. We discuss the weather and hope for rain, sun, warmth, cooler air, lower humidity, or whatever we don't have at the moment. When I need advice about the parenting life, I head to the playground, and from the women there, I learn much of what I need to know." So, according to research that has been done about the information shared between parents, parents share information like sleeping, feeding, and weaning for younger kids. In addition to that, parents with older kids are looking for information about health, behavior and development, childcare, activities, products and recommendations, school, and finances. So another study found that first-time mothers found that other mothers were used more often, seen as more important, and more useful than any other sources of information. So I decided to go to the playground and see if it was in fact an information ground. The playground that I observed is one of two playgrounds in a 121-acre city park. So it's a really big park with two playground areas. And I just picked the area that had a free parking spot because it was a very beautiful Saturday when I went. One side of the playground is an open area with picnic tables and trees overhead for shade, and it's just really nice. The swings are in between the picnic area and the playground equipment, and then the playground equipment is on the opposite side as the picnic area, and it has park benches surrounding it, so there's places for parents to sit and watch their kids play. I sat on a park bench for a while and watched a mom come sit in front of me. She had a little boy who was about maybe 10 or 12, and she was approached by another mom who had two boys around the same age. So the moms sat together and visited while their kids played, and they talked about things like school and activities, and then they started talking about reading. So the mom that was first sitting there said that, her son reads a lot and she can't hardly keep his nose out of a book. The other mom said that she can't get her boys to read, and she just knew that if she could find something that they really enjoyed, then they would really love to read. So they talked about ways to get their kids to read, and the first mom recommended several authors that her sons like, and even recommended an ebook app that is really popular in her house with her son. So she even went as far as to show the other mom what it was called and how to download it on her phone. So that was really neat. Another information observation that I got to participate in was I was sitting there watching my daughter play, and a mom came and asked if she could sit next to me, and we talked about some upcoming Halloween activities that were going on and fall festivals. And she told me all about a new indoor play studio in the area that she had taken her son to, and he really enjoyed it, and he was about the same age as my daughter. So that was really helpful also. So after my observation, I found out that the playground does serve as a very rich information ground. Many people gather there for play, and they end up talking and sharing information. So it's a great facilitator of social interaction, which leads to the sharing of information. And I think it would be really interesting if more studies were done examining the playground as an information ground, especially to see how many relationships are formed between strangers at the playground, and then go on to have friendships and relationships and keep going to the playground for information. So that was my research on public playgrounds as information grounds, and if you have any questions, I would be happy to try to answer them. Thank you. Bye.